So just taking a look at what we have now. We have an index page, which is going to be our main page. We have a contact page, which is under here is going to be a form that visitors could fill out and send information to us. And the last thing we have is a thank you page for the once they've actually completed the contact form. What we want to do now is get this contact form, this thank you page, to do a timed redirect or an HTML redirect. And so what that's going to mean is that we're going to be able, this thing after so much time is going to automatically redirect the page to another page, and that's going to be to our index page. So what this function is called, it's called a HTML timed redirect. And if you put that into Google, the first hit you're going to get is probably the same one over here, www.ozzu.com. But if you just scroll through the other results, you notice that JavaScript is kind of one of the main other ways to do this. Now there's a couple of different ways to do redirects, and there's different reasons to do them these different ways. For what we're going to do, we want to do the most simple way, which is HTML. The HTML time redirects and not the JavaScript. The JavaScript is a bit more involved. It's not very hard, but it's just completely unnecessary for what we're looking for. So click on the HTML timed redirect, and somewhere along here, you know, I remember what the code is. I mean, I don't remember what the code is exactly, but when I see it, I know it. And look, here it is. I just found it in this website. It's something like this: meta, you know, HTTP refresh content 5. And anyway, what does all this stuff mean? This is just saying, this is basically what we're going to plug into the head of our document. This is what it's going to do, and that's going to refresh the page. What is it going to refresh the page to is going to be not just going to refresh the page to refresh our page, which could also be done too. This is going to refresh the page to and redirect it to a certain URL that we point over here. And the content that you see here refers to how long it's going to take to do that redirect. And I'm kind of concerned over here. If you take a peek, what do we have going on over here? You notice, now you don't have to basically be too familiar with this, but something looks a little screwy over here. We have refresh over here is in quotes, but content equals, okay, this is okay. I mean, I was just double checking because sometimes, you know, I'm doing these kind of things too. I'm always copying and pasting from the web, and people oftentimes give you 90% of the right answer, and you got to kind of figure out that next 10%. So I was just being a little careful. So this is saying what it's going to do. It's going to refresh, and then the content equals, this refers to how long it's going to wait, 5 seconds, and URL is going to be what it's going to refresh it to. So I am going to take this code and copy it, and I'm going to go to my thanks page, or my thank you page, and now notice that we have something very similar to that. I should say that this is going to go into the head portion of our document. You know, I know it depends on how crazy the head gets. In past videos I talked about how I like to indent all my code. In the head, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And just so we're clear, you don't have to do this, but it's good practice to develop your own technique. So what I'm going to do here is paste that in there, and honestly, we can't have this tag in here twice because that's going to create it could potentially create some issues, and even if it doesn't, I would rather be exactly right than leave some screws loose, because then you don't know what's going to happen later on down the road. So if you're going to put in this refresh thing, you're going to need to take out the other one, the meta HTTP equiv. So let's take that out of just our thank you page. We only need this code in our thank you page. And there we go. I'm going to save it. And now I need to change this URL, obviously, URL equals, and then taking out this next page thing, I'm going to put index. Now before I even show you what happens, let's be clear on something. This is a relative link. So this means it's going to look for index.html inside of the same folder as the thank you.html is. And when I upload everything to the web, it's going to keep this folder structure, right? Of, this is what it's going to look like online. I'm going to have thank you over here, and this is saying look for index.html in the same folder. Obviously, if I change the location of this, like I put this inside my assets folder, which I wouldn't do, but I'm just saying that's going to change the link to where it is, and then you'd have to this URL would actually, or this link would break down. So keep that in mind when you're working with this. And let's see what the result is. Thanks. Come on. All right. That was about 5 seconds. So you could tweak this. Look, if I put it 2 seconds, if I change that number to 2, and I save it, let's go back to thanks over here. You know what? Oh, that was pretty quick. I think it did it right. I don't know. I don't know if my browser. Let's see real quick. Yeah. Okay. That took it right away. What I was thinking is that it may have not. It may have been the cached version. I needed to refresh it. But there we go. So you notice how you just copy and paste some code. Pretty simple. And then inside of here, all you really need to do is change the amount of time that thank you appears and where it goes to. 2 seconds is a little too quick. 4 seconds I think is just good enough, and that should be